Alright, like thanks for tuning to the channel today. Today we're going to get right into the content. I told you we were going to have a 22 F350 Platinum build on the channel, and kind of how I came up with the suspension on this one, what airbags I used, why I used airbags, how much rake, all those things. So let's go ahead and turn this camera around and get started. We're going to go through the truck suspension, and then we'll go through the Ready Air airbag system and why I chose that, okay? So if you look, the truck sits with about a 1/2 inch rake on the back. I've got a few items there on the ground just so I can go over it with y'all. And if it's a little windy again, I'm sorry. I've got a buffer on the mic. It's just the weather today. I'm running the 1350 Nitto Mud Grapplers. Absolutely love these tires. They ride great. They roll great. They do make some noise, but for me, I like the ride and I like the way they are. So that's what I run. Okay, on this truck, on the front end, what you see is I've got the 2.5 inch Ready Lift coils right here, full coil replacement, no spacers. I put the Carly arms on here, like we talked about in the last video. It's supposed to give you a little bit more rubbing room, but on these Mud Grapplers, it really doesn't, because you're rubbing right here. It's rubbing before the indentation. So, I mean, that's up to you if you want to put those on there. I do like the Carly parts. And then here on the front, all we've got is a track bar replacement from Ready Lift, bracket, and so basically on the front, that's all you're doing. The coils and the bracket. Not much to the front. That's a 2.5, and then of course when you do that, you're going to sit about a 1/2 inch low in the back on an F350 with overloads. Okay, so this truck had factory 2-inch blocks. I don't have those in my hand right now, but I went to Ford sells a 3-inch. And so you can get the 3-inch block. You will need longer U-bolts if you install the Ford 3-inch block. And then once you do that with the 3-inch block, you're going to sit with about a 1/2 inch of rake in the back. It's going to be a little higher, but just by 1/2 inch. It's pretty close. If you're trying to get a close level, that's pretty good. And then if you put a little bit of weight on it, it's not going to look really crazy, and your headlights aren't going to be pointed at the sky. The next thing that we're going to talk about is the Ready Lift airbags. Okay, now I know on an F350, if you don't level it and you put a load on it, you know, it's going to sit down and it's going to look right. It's going to sit level loaded, or a little bit squatted loaded. Okay, but if you do a level kit, you put bigger tires, that's something you're going to have to deal with, right? So if you pull a big RV or anything heavy, when I put 2,500 pounds on it, it's going to sink about 3 inches. Okay, from where I am today, that gives me about 2.5 inches of squat. Which I also believe in loading the suspension. It's like we talked on the other videos. You know, you don't want everything on your airbags. You want those springs to straighten out a little bit. You want that compression to come up, because you want that track, you know, all that to kind of tighten up, and that's going to help with any sway, right? So a little bit of rake is good. The more rake you can leave in it, the better. Okay, now I chose the Ready Lift airbags, the Ready Air, sorry. When I look at these bags compared to the other bags I've ran before, when I put those other bags on, it changes the ride. I feel it in the back, you know, whether it's the internal bump stops, whatever it is. But with the Ready Air bags, you don't get that. Of course, the Ready Air bag kits are a little bit more, but they do come fully assembled. And let me show you the one here on the ground. And the part number, while we're talking about it, on this one, because mine was an F350 with overloads, is 88-23-170. That's the Ready Air load assist with overload spring. Now it's telling you that because you're going to have to remove your overloads. And if you look right here, so this is on top of the spring. You're going to have to take your spring apart, you know, C-clamp it on both sides, pull your center pin out, and remove that overload. And then you're going to put the top cap right back on top. And they actually send you shorter pin bolts. This is for the dually, if you have a dually. The ones that are for the single wheel are a little bit skinnier. They're not quite a large bolt, and so they send you both in the pack. Okay, so you can use the U-bolts that you have. I actually had my shorter stock ones, so I used those. But in this kit, because you're removing that overload spring, right, you're removing that much space. So they're going to send you these spacers that you can put on your U-bolts if you continue to use those. I had some shorter ones, so I just threw those in there. I don't have to worry about it. The Ready Air kit actually bolts on to where your fifth wheel prep plate bolts from the stock. So they provide the bolts for that. You will have 4 of these stock bolts that you'll take out of the fifth wheel plate. I'll try to get under here and show you. You can see right here, that's where those stock bolts went through. One on the back, one in the front, and then this thing comes fully assembled, guys. It's both airbags. Let me get down here. I'll give you a view of it, right? Just clamps to your spring right here, goes over the top. Another reason I like these bags is, let's go over here and I'll show you. If you think about a single airbag over the center point of your axle, right here, right? Then that axle has a little more tendency to roll, and that leaf spring has a little more tendency to torque, under torque. And one of the things I like about these kits is it's a longer kit, and so it disperses that when it pushes down a little bit more even over that leaf spring. So it's going to prevent axle roll under load, which to me is something small, but I can tell you that towing with these works really great. I have 0 issues. You know, no bouncy issues, no sway issues. Really like the Ready Air product. Not affiliated with them. They did not provide those. I paid for them, paid full retail for them. Under here is the airlift compressor. Ready Air does not have a compressor out yet. I know it's an odd spot to mount it, but actually could take a coat of wire, and I fed these bolts through the frame. They were already here. There's one on top, one right there, and you literally can bolt it right up to your frame without having to drill it or anything. So that's where I chose to put it. And so now with that kit, I hardwired it to power, so it's powered up all the time. And then you can go to your app. Let me pull this up for y'all. It senses movement to turn on, so you'll open your wireless one from Airlift. And you can see right now it's stock, which is 5 psi. That's what it holds. And so let's just put in, let me make this one 10 down here. So we'll call this 10 psi right here. And so like that's my camper. I put 55 in them when I tow it. I can just click it and it'll go. I tap it. You can see the back end starting to come up. We're at 10 psi. Okay, it'll maintain 10 psi. And then if I want to go back to stock, you just click your top. And it releases. So this weekend I pulled my camper probably about 120, 130 miles. About 55 psi is where I was almost perfectly level. I let it squat probably about an inch total, so I'm a ½ inch up. I let it come down an inch. You know, if you put it at 65 to 70, I'd probably be all on the airbags, which like I said, I don't really like doing. I like to have a little bit of compression on that suspension. So 55 was roughly the number that was good for me on that. And anyway, just wanted to get this video out, kind of show you all the Ready Air kit, what it was going to take to install it. And you know, for me, my time, shop floor, taking the tires off, hooking everything up, I would say it was probably about a 2 to 2.5 hour install, just because you have to break the leaf springs down. Takes a little bit extra time, but it wasn't too bad. So anyway, if you got any questions or comments, anything, drop it below, and we'll try to get that answered. And please hit that like and subscribe if you don't mind. It's what keeps these videos going, and we'll catch you on the next one.